You're live with Get Connected. Mike Agerbo here. We've got a full house today. Joining me, I've got fellow tech enthusiasts AJ Vickery, Graham Williams, and John Biehler, who is Skyping in remotely because he's under self-isolation.
Right? I didn't realize 4 jokers made a full house.
Hopefully there won't be a lot of bad jokes during this episode. We are going to basically, in this episode of Get Connected, talk about the coronavirus, self-isolation, working from home, what to do at home while you're there, just to kind of help get the listeners through the coming week. So we're going to talk about what kind of apps and things you can use to work remotely. What are some of our favorite shows and movies and TV programs that we're binging right now while we have a lot of time on our hands because we're not going out anywhere. And how to clean our tech as well, which I think is an important thing. I want to start off the program right now just talking about the response from a lot of the tech and gig economy companies that are out there. I think, if you've seen the response from a lot of the telecoms, for example, they've given a lot of free stuff away now.
Yeah, we're seeing this actually both across Canada and the United States. Rogers, Bell, TELUS, I think, have all started to waive data overage fees for home internet, which is great. Mm-hmm. I know for myself, I've got an unlimited package with Shaw, but I see that number creep up every month. I'm watching a lot of stuff in 4K.
Yeah.
So it gets to be fairly stressful on the network, but stressful on your bank account if you don't have an unlimited package. You see, you've watched that season of whatever it is, you watched it in 4K, and suddenly it's eaten up your data cap. So blowing those data caps off is great. And thank you to those companies for doing it. My question right now is, it's 2020. Why do we have data caps to begin with?
Yeah, well, that's the problem. I did notice some of the cable companies. I think Rogers and I think Bell, but I know Rogers. They were actually giving out free channels during the next few weeks, especially for the kiddies that are on spring break. Or self-isolation, they don't know it.
Yeah, well, Disney Plus did something cool. They actually launched Frozen 2 ahead of schedule by 3 months. So now if you're a Disney Plus subscriber, as of today in Canada, March 17th, you can, last week, March 17th, you can watch Frozen 2.
On Disney Plus?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. I know they were releasing it early.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are a Disney Plus subscriber, you get that as part of the package. I guess, is it available on demand? I imagine it would be.
Yes, it's on demand for rent, yes.
Yeah.
Which is not good.
And Rise of the Skywalker was also released early. John, you've watched it since?
Yes. And there's a lot of great digital extras you want to check out as well. Like 3 hours of extra content if you're a fan of Star Wars.
Well, we'll talk about that in an upcoming segment here. I know the cell phone providers, Rogers, TELUS, and Bell, they've also waived their roaming charges. So if you're down in the United States or Europe or elsewhere in the world, typically they charge you a daily roam like home type fee, which is anywhere from $7 to $10 or $11 a day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of handy if you are trapped outside of Canada. And you know who's trapped outside of Canada right now?
Who?
My wife, Alana.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We were in Spain together. I don't like saying that out loud because every time I do, people just do not want to be near me because I got back about a week and a half ago with John. How's that response been, John? No one wants to talk to you, right?
Oh, it's been awesome. Yes. Well, we were back before, the doors closed, but people just want to stay away. And, it's not a bad policy right now.
So I came home, but my wife wanted to stop into Ireland, Northern Ireland, to see family, for a few weeks before coming home. And now she is violently ill there.
Okay.
Because of that, the aunt she's staying with, the whole family's been quarantined now. They don't know what she has. I think she's got a bad cold.
Yeah.
But because of the illness, the entire family is quarantined.
They're on lockdown.
They're on lockdown.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I've been researching online, how am I going to get her home? For days now, she's too sick to travel. No airline will take her, right? Because she's so ill.
Yeah.
And so my last hope was WestJet. And I just, a few days ago, they sent out a release. They're shutting down their international flights.
Yeah.
Except for emergency ones that they're going to work with the Canadian government on getting Canadians home, which again, low on details. I'm finding it's all low on details right now, all these things that they're announcing.
I mean, reasonably speaking, we're kind of in this process of, knock on wood, flattening the curve, as they say. And if someone is ill, they shouldn't be traveling. I mean, with a little luck, she'll be okay, in a week or so. Challenge is the border is probably going to be closed at that point. So how's she feeling about an extended stay in Ireland?
Well, all her family's from there, so not a problem. But things are getting dire at the Agerbo home. Like, do you want me keeping things clean there? Probably not.
Yeah,
probably not. But yeah, it's a little tough right now because the kids are missing her. I'm missing her.
Yeah,
the house is definitely missing her as well to help keep order there. So yeah, it's a little scary because the WestJet announcement basically saying they've suspended everything for 30 days.
Yes,
except for these emergency flights, which again I have zero to little information on. So it's crazy. At least your wife is here.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, as in many situations, the work from home strategies have been employed. I know that we're still meeting here in physicality, but the reality is it's not going to be long before it's all virtually taking place.
Yeah, I know a bunch of our folks are working from home now. We're using Zoom to communicate. We'll talk about some of the apps you can use to work remotely later on in the program. But yeah, it's really interesting times right now, just trying to coordinate all that, right? Because we've got about 25 people that work in our company, and just getting them all on the same work apps. You know what I mean? And make sure they're all working properly. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and there's no question. Like the what I've been finding though is that, and like Mike mentioned, Zoom is that I think Zoom.us. It's a video conferencing type collaboration screen share type program, but using it either on your phone or on the desktop application, Mac or PC, it's actually really cool the way that you actually feel like you're in the same room with someone.
Yeah,
when you have them, like when they start speaking, their picture comes up full screen. When you start speaking, your picture comes up. Like, it's actually quite effective.
I've got a couple of tips and tricks for Zoom that we can get into later on in the show.
good. I need some because
I got you.
I sometimes can get in, sometimes I can't. Let's talk about some of the other things that tech companies are doing. Obviously, the gig economy, things like Uber Eats, Skip the Dishes. The food delivery services now are offering, no contact delivery.
Yes. Yeah. So basically, they'll drop it off right outside your door. They'll knock on the door and then they run away. It's like Nicky Nine Doors, but they.
This is the best thing that's happened to raccoons in years. You can see them all just waiting. Just drop the pizza. Yes. And walk away.
I feel good because usually I answer when in my bathrobe. So now I don't have to suffer through that indignity. I basically just wait for the guy to go away and, okay, fine, I can get my food now.
That's crazy. So, so most of the delivery companies are doing that. But ride sharing, Uber put out a release saying the things that they're going to do to help during the coronavirus, challenges we're having right now. Some of them are kind of funny. Like they said, if any of their drivers are diagnosed with it, they're not going to be able to drive anymore. Duh.
Yeah,
right?
Shocker.
But they do say they're going to clean their vehicles as best they can because supplies are short. Like I would have left that part out.
Yeah,
like the supplies are short. I would just said you're cleaning your cars. But it's tough, right? Do you get in a taxi or an Uber?
So this is the thing. I've been using Lyft, and the last two drivers where I've gotten into their vehicle, they've actually had Lysol wipes in the vehicle, like in the cup holder.
Yeah.
And I was talking to the guy who's like, I've got a full box in the back, and so I got into the vehicle and didn't touch my phone, didn't do anything. And then when I got out of the vehicle, I used some hand sanitizer. I mean, it feels like they're taking this seriously, which I think is probably the most important thing that I need to see from the people that I'm dealing with right now is, it's not a casual thing, right? They're following the advice. And, these services, while not essential, if they do continue to operate, they're operating in a way that is actually keeping not just their employees safe, but also their consumers and their clients safe.
Another company, Airbnb, if you had booked something, you were able to cancel for free, which is great for the people booking. But if you're the host, It's not so good. Like my brother has a place up in Whistler,
Mhm.
and people are canceling on him left, center, right. There's no recourse for him.
No. Well, and so this is kind of where the Canadian government has stepped in and said they've got, I think, what was it, $1 billion where they're putting it into EI. They waived the 1 week waiting period. And then also there's $10 billion for businesses.
What does that mean?
that's a
how
great-
do I get some of that? Like
We're working on it.
Have you looked into it?
Well, we're looking into it. Yeah, I mean, there's a
Is
bunch
it-
of things that you're going to want to find out. Like if you're a business and you have something like a mortgage, is there an opportunity for you to sort of go to an interest-only payment? Is there working capital loans? Like these are the kind of things that we're looking, into.
I'm finding it's low on details right
Yeah,
now.
well, it's all in details for sure, but you have to. That's where once the announcement comes out, you got to start pecking away and find out, what is the opportunity.
That's another symptom of coronavirus, just low on details everywhere
Yeah.
across the board.
We're talking all about the coronavirus, COVID-19, from a tech standpoint during the show here at Get Connected. Coming up, we're going to talk about some of the tech hardware that you might want to have at home while you're hunkering or bunkering down. Also, some of the apps that we're going to be using to keep in touch with our friends, and also how to clean your tech coming up. You are back with Get Connected. Mike, Graham, AJ, and John in studio. We're talking all about tech, how to self-isolate yourself and have the right gear and apps while you're working from home or just being bunkered down at home. On tomorrow's app show, we'll also be covering some more of the apps that you can use, and also some of our favorite shows that you can check out while you are self-isolating. Let's talk about cleaning tech now. That's obviously something super important. Here at work, we are actually wiping down everything twice a day
Yes.
with things like Lysol wipes.
Yeah. And, just to make sure that like things like door handles or bathroom fixtures and things like that, where people, might be sneezing or touching their hands, and basically just want to make sure that those surfaces and areas that everyone touches are kept clean.
John, what are some of the things you're doing to keep your tech clean? I mean, I've been to your house. It's overflowing with technology.
It sure is. It's pretty much the same as normal for me. One of the things that I try to do all the time is keep my screens clean and keyboards. The stuff that you're touching constantly. Just make sure if you're using any of these wipes that you've actually tested your device isn't going to get damaged by using some of these wipes. Some of these wipes are much more abrasive and corrosive to glass and plastic than others. So maybe test a little corner before you wipe down your laptop screen or whatever, just to make sure you don't destroy that protective coat on those things. Just use common sense as far as don't dunk your phone in a bottle of Purell if you manage to secure a bottle that size. But basically, just try to keep everything clean as you can and as often as you can. It's probably less of a concern if you by yourself because it's just your stuff being touched by yourself. But if you're sharing your isolation with family members, make sure that their stuff is clean as well. And just like AJ said, we're cleaning the office multiple times a day. Same thing should happen at home as well.
The one thing that I do kind of want to point out here is that we do have a tendency when we're out in public to kind of forget that our phone is a bit of a vector. And so, you're using door handles and things like that. You then go out and you put your hand in your pocket, you put your phone up to your face to talk to someone. Congratulations, you've now offered a path for a pathogen to get into those spaces that do get infected. This is kind of where hand sanitizer does come in. Useful if you are going out in public and touching things that other people are touching. So, we are supposed to be staying home. We are supposed to be self-isolating. If for whatever reason you find yourself on public transit, or if you do find yourself, say, for example, in a grocery store where you're touching things like cart handles, your next step should not be to reach for your phone. Your next step should be to...
Oh, I'm reaching for my phone all the time.
Now, kind of on the note of looking at these protective coatings, on your phone, when you buy it, you've got something called an oleophobic coating. It's basically a coating that is, it repels the moisture on your fingers, right? It's fat-based. And so that's where you get your fingerprints from. Lysol wipes will denature this coating.
But Apple has come out and said you can use those wipes now on their phones.
You can, yeah, but it will start to degrade that. Now, here's the thing, that coating degrades anyway. right? After about a year, you probably notice that your phone gets more fingerprints than it did when you bought it. So this is not the end of the world. This is why a lot of folks have moved to glass screen protectors, because they are kind of disposable, right? After about 6 months or a year, these things have an oleophobic coating of their own. It breaks down. It's another $40 to go get Apple or whomever to install it for you. Vinegar and water is actually a little bit less damaging than some of these other ones, and will be just as effective in most cases in taking care of that. But the best thing to do is make sure that bacteria or virus does not get onto your phone in the first place. So don't cross-contaminate when you're using stuff in public and then reach for your phone. This is a good opportunity to use things like AirPods or like a Jabra headset that has voice activation, right? If you're out in public and you don't need to have your nose in your phone, you want to interact with it, use voice commands. The last piece of the puzzle is something that we've actually got here, and I just got one at home, which is a UVC cleaning device. Now, they use these in hospitals for cleaning hospital rooms. I've got one called phone soap.
Yeah, we've shown that on the show a few times. I dug it out of our inventory room here. It's been sitting in a box for like a year or 2 years. And it's this little kind of box. You open up the lid, you stick your phone in. It's got UV light in it. You close the lid, and within 10 minutes, it totally sanitizes the phone.
And it has been proven that UVC does destroy both coronavirus and other pathogens as well. So this is something it's not bull hockey. It is actual science. You can go and read the white papers on it. It does work. I paid $100 for one of these things off Amazon. 8:30 this morning, I got a knock on the door. The guy put it down on the ground and walked away, which was great. But 10 minutes actually does this for you. Now, it's not just for phones. It also works for things like keys and wallets. So again, those places where you may cross-contaminate, and we're being told to push elevator buttons with our keys. This is a great way to make sure that those things are clean as well.
So if you are going to be using any type of isopropanol alcohol, make sure it's at least 70% alcohol. And I would get a good microfiber cloth as well. If you're going to be wiping down screens, phones, my Tesla dashboard, which is essentially all screen. I was just looking at that thing this morning. I'm like, oh my God, this thing must be a breeding ground for the coronavirus. Microfiber cloth definitely, and at least 70% alcohol and isopropanol alcohol. We're gonna have to take a break. When we come back, we're gonna be talking about some of the tech we're using at home while we are self-isolating ourselves. Back after this. You are back with Get Connected. Mike Agerbo here in studio. I've got my fellow tech nerds, John, Graham, and AJ. We're talking all about tech when it comes to COVID-19. If you get a chance to check out the video podcast, John is holding up a little 3D model he made, being the 3D printing god here in Canada. John, you printed out the actual virus in 3D.
Yeah, I did, yes. And it's one of those things that you it's like printing a grenade. You could like clear pretty quickly if you just throw this down. But no, it's pretty fun to see what this thing actually looks like when we're so used to seeing this on the backgrounds between all the news coverage of the virus. And actually see, I mean, this obviously is much larger than it actually is, but it's a pretty interesting looking little virus.
And where did you get the model?
It's online. Somebody made it a little while ago when the outbreak first started, and it's a free download, and you can 3D print it to your heart's content.
Too bad you can't go anywhere to show it.
That's right.
Just your cat, who probably loves playing with it. Let's talk about some of the gear that we're using while we're, I guess, self-isolating and trying to work. Obviously, got to have a good laptop. And a good video camera. The challenge is, though, on a lot of some of the older computers and stuff, I was noticing that I've got like this desktop computer in my kitchen counter or desk. The webcam just sucks now.
Yeah. A lot of the thinner ones, like the MacBook Air, they have a 480p camera, which is it's like a potato.
So, I mean, if you're going to be doing a lot of video conferencing, John, you're holding up one right now in our video podcast here. What do you got there?
This is a Logitech HD webcam. You can get these for probably as cheap as about $50, but better quality can cost about $100, maybe 120.
Yeah.
And these are fantastic. They have stereo mic, very nice big screen. They can attach to your existing laptop. You can actually mount it on a tripod if you want. There's a little tripod mount on the bottom, so you can actually have it set up in your little home office if you want. And they sound great. And if you don't have a decent enough laptop webcam built in, it's a really great way to go.
Yeah, $50, and it's going to make you look a lot better. But you know what else you need is lighting.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I do this weekly Skype video hit for one of our broadcasters, AMI. They're in Toronto, and it's just killing me, AJ. Like,
Yeah.
I have to get up at like 7 a.m. for this, and I'm literally crawling out of bed. I'm wetting my hair down just so that I don't look like alfalfa, like a crazy man or like some deranged killer. And I'm just grabbing one of my shirts. I'm still in my underwear, and I go down to my kitchen computer. And as you can imagine, the lighting at 7 a.m.
Not kind.
It's not kind.
Yeah.
And so it was funny. One of the AMI guys last week was actually in town, and he sat down with me. Yeah, we got to talk to you about your video hits.
Oh wow.
I'm like, what? It's like, well, you're not doing yourself any favors. And then he said, you look like crap, Mike. You got to get a better video camera. So you know what I did? I invested in a better video camera and also this ring light kit on Amazon.
Oh, nice.
So have you seen these things?
Yeah.
It's like a circle light.
Oh, yeah.
That all the YouTubers are using.
Yes.
And it was $50. $50 comes with like a tripod and everything and this ring light. And I haven't got it yet, but it looks beautiful.
I'm really curious because I teach at Brain Station.
Yeah.
And my class last Saturday was moved online only. And it was great because actually some of my students not coronavirus, but they were not well, and they were worried they were going to miss their last class. They weren't going to make their final project. And so everyone was able to join me. And so I kind of went through this. The big piece of hardware that I found was helpful was actually a stand for my laptop. Because, if you take a look on our video podcast version of this right now, you'll see the two laptops are in front of Mike and AJ, and they've got a great angle to look directly up your nose, right?
I know, I got to trim the nose hairs. I really do.
So I actually use a recipe book stand, open the laptop up almost all the way, and it actually puts the camera almost at eye level for you, so you can end up having a conversation with someone looking through the webcam, so it looks like you're looking them in the eye.
That's cool.
It sounds like I just got an email from Brain Station yesterday saying that they are going to send me a broadcast kit, and I have no idea what's in that yet, but I'm hoping for one of these ring lights.
John, what are you using to make yourself? I mean, you always look good.
Well, like Graham said, I actually raised my laptop up. I'm just using a box from my mesh router because it's just the right height to bring the camera up to eye level. I've also, like you, Mike, I do a amount of these remote hits all the time. So I invested in a light. I don't have a ring light. I have a diffused box light that's just using a little LED light so I can leave it on all day and it doesn't actually give off any heat. It came with a tripod. And the bulb, thing like that. I think it was about $50 or $60 as well. So it was very affordable, and it gives you a nice lighting, which isn't quite as harsh if I was to turn on my kitchen lights, which would be a little bit different view than you're seeing right now. But yeah, there's just little things you can. If you don't have the time or the ability to get some equipment, you can just use a lamp and take maybe the lampshade off and put it a little further away, just to have a little bit more distance between you and the light, so you don't have these harsh shadows as well. Those kinds of things you can do to make it really easy. But I think, like Graham said, raising up your laptop. And we've seen this before when we've interviewed people, they're literally using their laptop on their lap or on a tabletop, and it's shooting right up their nose, or every time they move, the camera moves with them. So it can be really distracting, actually, if you're trying to have a conversation with someone and they're just worried about your laptop falling off your lap at the time.
Well, it's funny you talk about the angle. Yeah. You don't want people looking up your nose when you're doing video chat meetings. You know how we always go down to Vegas for a CS show? I have to do those video hits with Global. And John, you've stayed with me and AJ as well, or you all have in the same room. They're usually like at 6:30 in the morning, and I'm scrambling around trying to find something to prop my laptop on. And it's typically, I've got like 3 pillows and hoping to God that the laptop doesn't, fall down, which is a little crazy.
Yeah. Well, one thing that.
Sorry, John?
Oh, I was going to say something else you can do too. And you may notice that my background is actually blurred out right now.
Yes,
that's
nice.
just a set of Skype to do that. And Zoom has some options for some virtual backdrops as well. So you can actually, you don't have to clean up your house for that conference So you can actually just use some of the tricks built into the tools themselves to actually make your place look a little bit nicer or cleaner, or hide the dirty laundry, whatever you need to do.
Yeah, one of the things I brought into the studio with us this morning is my Jabra Evolve 75 headset. And again, Graham, you'd pointed this out earlier in the show. A good headset, especially one with some voice control options, is a great function. But also just in terms of like being in a lot of these virtual conference calls, being able to have a headset on really makes a big difference, because then you find the audio quality of both your voice and also hearing everybody else in the room is just that much better.
It's a night and day difference.
Yeah.
I got a Jabra headset for my computer at home. It changed my calls.
And it's not a small investment. I mean, this particular one, the Evolve 75, retails for around $350 Canadian. So, you're making an investment, but at the end of the day, the quality of the sound and also the microphone is excellent.
But it's good because it not only works with your computer, but you can have it paired with your cell phone as well.
Yeah.
That said, it's actually really strange seeing you not wear it, because you wear it all the time. Like that's almost like your fashion accessory.
Exactly. Well, I had both headphones on when I did this interview, and I thought I'd take one off.
Fair.
I always think he's working like second job at a call center.
You want fries with that?
Okay, we're going to have to take a break here on Get Connected. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the apps that we're using to keep connected. You are back with Get Connected. Mike Agerbo here. We've got AJ, Graham, and John with me. Got full house today because we're trying to cover tech to get us by during the COVID-19 pandemic here. A lot of us are working from home now. Mm-hmm. And so we talked about cleaning your tech, some of the hardware that you would need. So let's talk about some of the apps there. Maybe starting with the work ones right now. So the nice thing is a lot of the apps we use now, they do have collaboration built into them, like Office 365, Google Docs, or the G Suite as they call it. But there's some other ones that are gaining popularity. Tomorrow on the App Show, we'll be talking with the folks over at Zoho. They have a new suite that they've just launched within a week of, I think, in the beginning of March, and giving it out free right now till July.
Wow.
It's like meeting software, word processor, everything. Even webinar software.
Good of them.
Yeah. So if you want to find out more about that, tune into the App Show tomorrow. One we've been using a lot lately is Zoom.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because Slack has been the main technology that we've used as a communication tool for the office. And
explain to listeners what Slack is.
So it's essentially a chat-based program. And actually, Graham, you're the one that originally brought this to us.
Yeah.
And it's actually a company that was founded out of British Columbia here, Vancouver, in fact.
One of the founders of Flickr back in the day.
Yeah. And but it's it gives you the opportunity for all of your staff to be on this account where you can essentially just communicate via. The main method that we use is creating different channels for different topics and then communicating in those channels via text or writing. But it also has the ability to do other things as well, including video calls.
I found this was really the replacement for the vast majority of my email for me. It's pretty much replaced internal email almost altogether. Mm-hmm. And that was the problem, right? You used to look into your Outlook inbox and you would have, even when they added threading to Outlook, it was hard to keep track of where projects were. People would, start a new thread from an old email and it would just kind of get lost in the haze.
Or my favorite emails. Thanks.
Yes. Yeah. Sent out to 14 different people.
Yeah.
And so, there's a bit of a joke that we're kind of, with the advent of COVID-19, we're seeing, that meeting could have been an email after all. We're taking it right back to that meeting really could have been a Slack message, which in a lot of cases, because it does give you this chronological chat room for individual projects, you can keep track of the status of something and go back into the history of a project and see it right away. You don't have to, could you dig that email out for me? Mm-hmm. And this includes built-in file sharing. It includes built-in link sharing. You can integrate it with Office 365 or with the Google apps. So it's a pretty strong piece of software for that organization.
And the one thing that I liked about it is it just created this extra level of communication, because sometimes an email thread, you forgot somebody or left them off. But generally, when you create a channel and everybody's invited, everyone's able to sort of keep pace on what's going on. The message might not be directly to you, but if you're interested in sort of being apprised of what's going on in that particular channel, you can sort of keep up to date.
It's great for accountability as well. I know for myself, if something needs my attention, People can send you an @ message that basically flags your attention to that channel. And, it's not calling someone out, it's making sure that we have the opportunity to address these things in a timely manner. And I think that mental shift for a lot of us was great. It's here's the opportunity to do our best work as opposed to I need you to go do this right now.
So the one thing that I felt was, going back to Mike, your question about Zoom, is the one thing with Slack I felt where it sort of ended was that next level of collaboration, the ability to sort of have that immediate discussion, but potentially also share your screen, and that's where Zoom came in. And when I looked at Slack, I wanted to find a tool that augmented Slack really well. And so Slack has a marketplace where you can sort of look to the different apps that work well with its platform, and Zoom was one of them. And Zoom is that next level. It's if you truly are remote and can't go sit down with someone quickly and look at their screen and look at something, and we're a very creative company, we're a very visual company, this now lets you extend that to sharing your virtual screen. So now we can both look at my screen at the same time from two different places.
The best part about that screen sharing is being able to share just one application.
Yeah.
So in the past, you would share a screen with someone and you would see their emails come in. You would see their text messages. If they were on a Mac, they would pop up in that notification center. Being able to just share, say for example, PowerPoint or Keynote, so that whoever you're sharing with, it's great for presenting to clients because it keeps all of what's going on your computer private. They're just seeing what you want them to see. That's huge for me. I love that.
The big thing for me though, the video is important
Yes.
for me because I need to see the body language, the little facial cues. Have I struck fear in them? But it works well not only with desktops but with mobile devices. We had a call yesterday, 4 of us, and I was on my way home. My daughter was driving, thank God. And I was able on my iPhone to log into this Zoom call, and it just worked like a charm.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, so we were all chatting like we were in the exact same room together.
Yeah.
And that's what I really
And there was
liked.
no lag or anything.
No lag. And you were on one device, I was on a completely different device, and we were all sort of meeting virtually. But that video, I think that's the key.
So I said I had 2 tips for you really quickly. The first being, you talked about speaker view earlier, being able to see who's speaking. If you want to see everybody all at the same time, click on gallery view and it'll give you all of those thumbnails of everybody there. Second tip is put yourself on mute. And you can actually unmute yourself just to speak by pressing and holding the space bar. And when you release the space bar, it puts you back on mute. It's a really great way to not interrupt the flow of the conversation, but be involved when you need to.
We're going to have to take another break. When we come back, we're going to do our tech of the week. Some tech to help you while the hours away. And John's got some pretty cool stuff. You are back with Get Connected. Mike Agerbo here. We've got tech nerds, Graham, AJ, John. We've just got one segment left. A lot of us are self-isolating now. Maybe we've got a bit of time on our hands. John, you're a big 3D printer guy. I wanted you to talk about 3D printing and how someone could get involved with that.
Yeah, so the easiest way to get started is not to take a class. It's just to buy a printer because they're really inexpensive now. People don't realize the prices have come way down. When I started about 10 years ago, it was at least $1,500 to $2,000 to get a kit. Now you can get a fully assembled or mostly assembled printer now for about $200 on Amazon. You can probably get same day or next day delivery. So it's pretty easy to get into this hobby. And there's no limit to what you can print. I mean, we talked about earlier that I printed the virus. This was actually done on a resin printer. Cost a little bit more money than the printers that I for $200. Which, if you're looking to get one, look for an Ender 3. It's a great entry level printer, but it also is a great workhorse. This was printed. The virus was printed on a Anycubic Photon S, which is about $400 on Amazon, and it uses a different technique. But I've been printing stuff for friends while I've been home. This is a yarn loom for my friend that's learning how to knit. And I'm actually thinking I'm going to print another one for myself and teach myself how to knit while I've got all this free time.
John, you don't have a lot of free time.
I'm also
going to keep you busy with work.
That's right. But I've also been using this time to work on some projects that I've been putting off. And so something else I printed, this is a mount for what's called a drag knife. I have a CNC machine that allows me to do things like create printed circuit boards, etch and engrave metals and woods and that type of thing. With a very inexpensive little attachment I bought on Amazon, it allows me to upgrade my CNC to actually cut vinyl and make stickers and all kinds of stuff like that as well. So again, just exploring your hobbies while you have all this free time. There's lots of great tools for hobbyists out there, whether it's a 3D printer or those types of devices that you've ever wanted to explore. There's a million YouTube videos if you want to watch before you buy about how to do all this stuff too. And there's some really great folks out there that are putting out some really great content on specifically for the beginner. And we've talked about this before on the show with some of our guests as well. So, definitely explore those hobbies now that you've got some free time, and don't be afraid to jump in.
John wins the Ultimate Nerd Contest today. If you want to see our video podcast, check out getconnectedmedia.com. Also, enter our contest. We're giving away a Google Nest Mini. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's how you enter.